Hey, I'm pro saxophonist Jamie Anderson. Welcome to Get Your Sax Together. And today we're going to explore the biggest the biggest mistake that amateur sax players make. And that is when they start a note, there is a very unattractive wow, like a kind of lippy scoop into each note. And most of the time, people don't even know they're doing it. Why does a lack of tongue stability cause these wows? Well, your tongue, the middle of your tongue and the back of your tongue are responsible for what you often hear described as voicing of the saxophone. Now, that won't typically change the note that you play, although it does in the altissimo and palm keys, but it will change two things. It'll change the timbre of the note, and it can often change the pitch of the note. So when you hear these wows into the note, what's really happening is simultaneously the pitch is going from low to high as the note commences, and there's also a change in timbre from a kind of fuller sound to a more choked sound, like a filter. Sometimes there's even a third factor of volume changing. So the three things you want to avoid when you start a note are volume changing, pitch changing, and timbre changing. And because there are changes going on with your voicing and sometimes with your embouchure, in beginners and a lot of amateur players, those three things happen at once, creating these unattractive wows, and most people don't even know they're doing it. So what can we do about it? I've got some fantastic points for you to correct your wows. Let's get straight into it. Let's start with tongue stability. And on that topic, I'm going to introduce you to a concept that you might not have really thought of before, and that is that most people are doing far too much. I mean, this is a very general point about hobby sax players. You're doing far too much with your tongue, you're doing far too much with your embouchure, you just need to do less. So, if you think about it carefully, when you articulate a note, really what's happening is it's the absence of your tongue on the reed which is making the note sound. In other words, when your tongue is on the reed, the note is stopped, and when you remove your tongue, the note starts. So start getting that new way of thinking into your head, that you don't have to do something with your tongue to articulate, you just have to stop doing something, and the thing that you're stop doing is having your tongue on the reed. Now all it takes is a very tiny release of the tip of your tongue off the reed to initiate the note. Now that should stop you doing some crazy gymnastics with your tongue inside your mouth. And it's a more useful way of approaching the way that you play the saxophone. Try and do the absolute bare minimum to get the result you need. Don't do anything crazy with your embouchure. Don't do anything crazy with your tongue. Don't do anything crazy with your breathing. But let's start with this very, very simple exercise. All you're going to do is have your tongue on the reed. You can use your neck and mouthpiece, and just build up breath pressure. So your embouchure is sealing around the mouthpiece. Your tongue, the very tip of your tongue is, or maybe just back from the tip of your tongue, is sealing the reed against the tip of the mouthpiece. So no air can come out, but you have got breath pressure. And just, boop, take the tip of your tongue off. And it's going to sound like this. So as you can see, I'm not doing anything mad. The note just starts and stops, and the tongue is simply acting as an on-off switch. All it does is seal the reed against the mouthpiece, and then you take it off. That's all it needs to do. The middle and the back of your tongue, they don't even come into play. Now, if you're doing this exercise and you look in the mirror and you can see that there's a lot moving in your neck and in your jaw, but more importantly, if you're doing this exercise and you can hear changes in the note as the note starts, like wow, a change in pitch, a change in timbre, a change in volume, then you need to work on just using much less tongue action to stabilize the note. The note should just start. Pa, ta, ta. It should not go ha or wow or wah. There should be no changes. I'll demonstrate that one more time and then we'll move on to the second point. If you rewind the video, you'll see that nothing is moving, nothing is changing. which brings us on to our second point about embouchure. Okay, let's talk about your embouchure when you're articulating. Your embouchure should not move. You should not see any visible change to your embouchure when you tongue. Now, here's the problem. Your jaw muscles are used to chewing food, and your up and down chomping motion of your jaw, I don't know how to demonstrate it, you know what I mean. The chomping motion of your jaws is extremely strong. In fact, you've got a really strong bite like this. However, what we need to do is bring it from the opposite direction. We need the embouchure support to be from the sides instead of chomping down and squeezing the reed. But my point is, it's a very natural human physical thing to do, which is chomp. So as soon as you put something in your mouth, you are tempted to chomp. And when you start a note, you probably think you have to chomp on the mouthpiece to make that note start. Now, you'll see this visibly. If you're starting notes and you can see your jaw move, number one, you'll hear the pitch change. You'll hear the timbre change. You might even hear the volume change, because as you close the reed against the mouthpiece tip, your volume is going to get quieter because the reed can't vibrate as much. So if you're seeing that happen in the mirror, you know that you're using unnecessary changes in your embouchure. So to combat this, you need to think about your embouchure being sealed and nice and firm from the sides, which takes the pressure off the top and bottom, and then you won't have to squeeze on the reed when you initiate a note. Literally, we're going to do the same drill again, but focus on the embouchure. You're going to build up, you're going to take a breath, you're going to seal your embouchure, build up breath pressure with your tongue closing the reed against the mouthpiece tip, and then just let it go. Do not move this. All right, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Here we go. Well, I'm looking at my monitor there beneath the camera. It looked like nothing was moving at all. So that's what you're aiming for. Don't chomp up and squeeze with your embouchure whenever you articulate, because it's going to give you a very undesirable result. Let's now move on to the third point, which is about breathing. Just before we get on to the really important point about breathing, go and check out the free PDF that you can see there. It's got an exercise from Phrase Like a Pro. It's not an exercise that I take ownership. I've adapted it. It's a very common saxophone exercise, and one that's especially taught by Dr. Mark Watkins, who is our guest in the Inner Circle. Go and use the link that you can see there, or click the link in the description, and you will get that awesome PDF with that long exercise, which is how you will build up tongue stability and avoid the dreaded BWOWs. Okay, let's move on to the third point now, which is about breathing. When you articulate, you don't huff and puff with your tummy muscles, or even worse, with your chest and shoulder muscles. That shouldn't happen anyway. You don't huff and puff and blow the house down. You know, this isn't the story of the Three Little Pigs. Every time you start a note, you don't go, unless it's, you know, there's a reason to do that, like particularly strong, short, accented notes, whatever. But as a general rule, if you're just playing a phrase and you're articulating as you go, think of it more like Morse code. Your breath is the mains supply to the Morse code machine, and your tongue is just like the button, and you're doing longs, dots and dashes, but you're not going, you're not huffing and puffing and blowing the house down, because if you do that, you're much more likely to create changes in volume and surges. Do you remember that third dysfunction in your articulations, those surges of volume? So if you're doing that every time that you blow a note, you're going to create these BWOWs, and you're probably going to be changing your embouchure and your tongue position every time as well. So back to the exact same thing we've been doing twice already, but this time you're going to focus on your breathing. You take a breath, you blow. Okay, so the air doesn't go anywhere at first. It only goes somewhere when you take your tongue off, but you've got that pressure. It's built up. And you're just letting the air out like a kitchen tap, you know, like you're releasing the faucet in your kitchen tap. So let's try again. And do not do any huffs and puffs. You shouldn't be squeezing, you know, you shouldn't be pulsing your tummy muscles. You just be one long continuous squeeze. Here we go. Okay, no huffs and puffs. Okay, so final point, as I mentioned, I've got this long drill that you can work through using the PDF cheat sheet exercise that you can see linked there, and just click the link in the description. I don't have time to go through it on this video because I like to keep YouTube videos nice and punchy and short. I will, however, be demonstrating the whole exercise inside the Inner Circle membership, so go and check out the Inner Circle membership. It's a free 7-day trial. You can join for nothing and check out this exercise along with, of course, all the other absolutely awesome features of being inside the Inner Circle membership. But I will say this. Oh, and by the way, this exercise is also obviously in my Phrase Like a Pro course. But going back to my point, I will say this. What you're aiming to do with this type of work is you want to be able to play your saxophone with no expression. Now, that sounds like an odd goal, but you want to play with no subconscious inflections or deviations in the pitch. It should be completely flat and expressionless. That is going to give you a blank canvas and really good technique of articulation to then express your songs with intent without using an unconscious habitual vibrato or without doing note BWOWs that you don't know you're doing. So the whole point of the exercise on the PDF is to eliminate all expression from your playing. So eventually you can just play notes, whether they're long, tenuto or staccato, and they're all exactly the same. There is no inflection at the start of each note, something like this. So the notes are clearly and crisply articulated, but there is no inflection, no vibrato, no coloration at the beginning of the note. That is the big goal. That is the thing that you need to be working on every day. Record yourself with your phone and honestly listen back and say, is there any inflection in there? Anything like that, you want to eliminate. Flat and expressionless, okay? That is what you want. Imagine it's the kind of saxophonic version of having your whole musicality Botoxed, so there's no inflection or personality. Okay, super important. That will instantly make you sound more pro in every single thing you play. Okay, that's all I've got for you this week. Last time, don't forget to go and get your worksheet, your free PDF worksheet, which has got this fantastic exercise taken straight from Phrase Like a Pro, where you can learn the low note exercise for tongue stability. And if you want a demonstration of that exercise and a bit more details, go and sign up for the Inner Circle membership using the link in the description. If you want something completely free, go and check out my free Saxophone Success Masterclass, which has got a real wide range of really cool tips and tricks to help you up your sax game in a jiffy, in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, as my mum used to say. In the meantime, until next week, make sure you practice hard, practice smart, and enjoy your music. Take it easy, guys. Most of the time, it's because your tongue is not stable. Most of the time, it's going to be caused by a lack of tongue stability. Well, most of the time, it's going to be caused by mid and rear tongue instability. Let's just do it a million more times. How about that?